Michelle is a
I'm sorry, she's a what?
transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Joan Rivers created a national controversy in 2014 when she made unexpected comments about Michelle Obama being transgender. She later defended these remarks as a compliment. Shortly after making the statements, her death was announced. And of course, that fueled a lot of conspiracy theories. Amidst all of the drama, an unexpected voice has been reported to have given a reply on the issue. And that is Sasha Obama. What was her comment and response? In this video, we'll be getting all our answers in full. Care to find out? Keep watching till the very end. The original Joan Rivers controversy. Joan Rivers was no stranger to controversy. Honestly, she thrived on it. But even for her, this particular moment was next level. It all started as just another day in New York City, where Rivers, ever the sharp-tongued icon, had just officiated a same-sex wedding between two fans. A beautiful, feel-good moment, right? Well, not for long. As she was leaving a bookstore, a reporter casually asked her about the possibility of America having its first openly gay president. Now, if you know anything about Joan Rivers, you know she never gave a simple, polite answer when she had the option to drop a bombshell instead. And boy, did she deliver. With zero hesitation, Rivers responded with a shocking claim about then President Barack Obama's sexuality. And just when you thought that was jaw-dropping enough, she went even further, making an outrageous comment about Michelle Obama's gender identity. The reporter, probably stunned, gave her a chance to clarify. Maybe she had misspoken, maybe it was just another one of her dark humor jokes. But no, Rivers doubled down. She stood by her words and casually dropped, "We all know it," as if she was confirming something the whole world had been whispering about. We all know Joan had a sharp tongue and wasn't afraid to call out powerful people, even the Obamas. But when she made that shocking comment about Michelle Obama, the internet went wild. And now, after all these years, Sasha has something to say? Buckle up, because this story has twists, turns, and some seriously shocking details you won't want to miss. Stay right here till the very end. Trust me, it's about to get interesting. Naturally, the backlash was immediate and intense. This wasn't just another spicy celebrity gossip moment. It was a full-blown media storm. People were outraged. The Los Angeles Times outright called her comments unacceptable, and given how much progress was being made in conversations about transgender rights, at the time, the backlash hit even harder. Think about it. This was around the time when transgender women like Laverne Cox were making history with magazine covers and powerful interviews. The culture was shifting, and here was Rivers, an 81-year-old comedy legend, throwing around remarks that felt completely out of step with the moment. But did Joan Rivers back down, apologize? Not a chance. The controversy refused to die down, and public reaction kept pouring in. It wasn't just everyday people calling her out. Major media outlets took her to task. And honestly, the timing couldn't have been worse for her. Janet Mock had just had a groundbreaking conversation about transgender identity on CNN. Laverne Cox and Carmen Carrera had appeared on the Katie Couric show and had called out how the media often reduces transgender women to their body parts. Cox even became the first openly transgender person to appear on the cover of Time magazine. The world was moving forward, becoming more aware and more accepting. And then here came Joan Rivers with a comment that felt ripped straight out of an outdated, offensive comedy routine. Then something happened that no one saw coming. Just weeks after making these controversial statements, Joan Rivers passed away. It was sudden, unexpected, and tragic. A routine throat procedure went terribly wrong, leading to complications that ultimately took her life. And just like that, the story took an eerie twist. Some corners of the internet immediately jumped on it, spinning wild conspiracy theories. You know how the internet loves a good baseless theory, right? According to some of these groups, Rivers' death wasn't just an accident, it was punishment for what she had said about the Obamas. Of course, there was absolutely no truth to these claims, and fact checkers quickly debunked them, but it just goes to show how quickly celebrity statements, especially the controversial ones, can take on a life of their own. And here's another interesting angle to all of this. This wasn't even the first time Rivers had been in hot water for saying something offensive. The Anti-Defamation League had already gone after her in 2012 when she compared Costco to Nazi Germany. She had a long history of saying outrageous things and defending them as comedy, but this particular controversy, it felt different. It wasn't just a comedian being edgy, it was a moment that highlighted the fine line between comedy and outright disrespect, especially at a time when the world was waking up to the importance of trans visibility and dignity. As for the actual claims Rivers made, completely false. PolitiFact and every other credible fact checker have debunked any and all conspiracy theories about Barack and Michelle Obama's gender and sexuality. Michelle Obama's own memoir, her extensive public life, and basic reality make it clear that Rivers' comments were completely unfounded. But the fact that people still bring them up today just shows how once a rumor gets out there, especially when it's said by a famous person and never fully goes away. Joan Rivers built her entire career on pushing boundaries, saying what others wouldn't dare to, and never apologizing for it. But in this case, her words sparked more than just a round of gasps and eye rolls. They fueled a conversation about the impact of celebrity statements in the digital age. Because let's be real, in today's world, once you say something controversial, it doesn't just go away, it lives forever, replayed in videos, repeated in articles, and turned into conspiracy theories that refuse to die. And whether you love Joan Rivers or couldn't stand her, one thing's for sure, she knew exactly how to keep people talking. Growing up under public scrutiny, Sasha Obama might have been born into a regular middle-class life in Chicago, but by the time she turned 7, she was calling the White House home, a place with butlers, florists, and Secret Service agents around every corner. But Sasha wasn't alone in this wild transition. She had her older sister Malia by her side, and together they walked through a childhood unlike any other, one filled with surreal experiences, strict security, and a constant battle to hold on to normalcy. Moving into the White House sounds glamorous, right? But for Sasha, it meant giving up the simple things like being able to go outside without an entire security team following her or walking to school like any other kid. Instead, her new reality came with armored cars, bulletproof windows, and staff making sure everything ran smoothly. And while most kids might love the idea of being pampered, Michelle Obama wasn't about to let her daughters turn into spoiled little princesses. No, she made sure they did their own chores, like making their beds and handling their own laundry. Imagine living in a house where people are paid to do everything for you, yet your mom still makes you fold your own clothes. But Michelle knew what she was doing. She wanted Sasha and Malia to grow up grounded, not entitled. Of course, there were perks, huge ones. Sasha got to travel the world, seeing places most people can only dream of. She visited the Kremlin in Moscow, walked through the halls of the Vatican, and even attended state dinners where she met world leaders and celebrities. One of the most unforgettable moments? In 2016, at a state dinner, photographers caught Malia giving Sasha a thumbs up as she chatted with Ryan Reynolds. But it wasn't all cool trips and famous encounters. Being the daughter of the most powerful man in the world came with an intense level of scrutiny. The Obamas did everything they could to shield their daughters from the media, but there were still moments where the spotlight burned a little too bright. Sasha, whose Secret Service codename was Rosebud, still had to deal with the downsides of fame. She couldn't just hang out like a regular kid without security trailing behind her, and even sleepovers had to be pre-approved. And when you think about it, how do you even have a normal childhood when everything from your outfits to your expressions can end up in headlines? And let's not forget the criticism. One of the worst moments came in 2014 during the annual Thanksgiving turkey pardoning ceremony. Sasha and Malia were just being typical teens looking a little bored when a Republican staffer named Elizabeth Lawton decided to call them out on Facebook. She criticized their outfits and attitudes, saying they should show more class. Really, grown adults going after kids for not looking thrilled at a turkey pardoning? The backlash was swift, and Lawton ended up resigning, but the whole thing served as a brutal reminder that being a president's kid means even your smallest facial expressions can become political talking points. Through it all, Sasha and Malia stuck together. Barack Obama once said that no one else in the world could truly understand what they went through except each other. And that's the truth. Growing up in the White House is an experience so unique, so bizarre, that only a handful of people in history can relate. Barack and Michelle worked hard to make sure their daughters didn't resent the life they were born into. Barack made family time a priority, ensuring that they ate dinner together instead of letting his busy schedule keep him away. And Michelle? She made sure their home life felt as normal as possible, even if normal meant Secret Service agents standing outside their bedrooms. As she got older, Sasha started to carve out her own identity. By the time Barack's second term rolled around, she wasn't all that interested in the traditional presidential events anymore. The turkey pardoning, yeah, she was kind of over it. Instead, she found joy in more everyday things, like watching cooking shows and taking over the White House kitchen with her friends. Imagine having one of the world's most famous chefs working in your home, but you and your friends still decide to whip up your own snacks. That's Sasha for you. And then just like that, her White House years were over. In 2017, when Barack's presidency ended, the Obamas packed up and moved into a more normal house in Washington, D.C. But let's be real, once you've lived in the White House, nothing is ever truly normal again. Sasha finished high school, had a brief summer job at a seafood restaurant because, of course, Michelle wanted her to know the value of hard work, and eventually went on to college. But through it all, she remained that same down-to-earth girl who, despite growing up in one of the most famous families in the world, just wanted to live her life on her own terms. When Joan Rivers dropped one of the most explosive claims about the Obamas, people thought she was just joking, but was she? The legendary comedian was known for saying the unsayable, but this time, her words sent the internet into a frenzy. And now, years later, Sasha Obama has finally responded. Care to find out? Don't even think about clicking away, because the real shocker comes right at the very end. Sasha Obama's initial response. Sasha Obama has always been the quieter one, the one who stays out of the noise, the one who doesn't feel the need to clap back at every little thing said about her family. And honestly, who can blame her? Like, growing up in the White House meant she had to deal with a level of scrutiny that most people can't even imagine. But when it came to Joan Rivers' controversial claims, she did something that was so true to who she is. She stayed private. No dramatic statements, no fiery rebuttals, just quiet dignity. Meanwhile, her mother, Michelle Obama, took a different approach. She didn't shy away from the comments. Instead, she simply said, "I know who I am." And that was that. No back and forth, no unnecessary drama, just a statement so powerful that it shut down the conversation completely. But even though Sasha didn't address the controversy head on, her feelings on the matter came through loud and clear in Michelle Obama's Netflix documentary. It wasn't about directly responding to Joan Rivers, it was about standing firm in her support for her mother, and in a way that said more than any statement ever could. I'm excited for her to be proud of what she's done, because I think that's the most important thing for a human to do, be proud of themselves, Sasha said. Simple, honest, and straight from the heart. It wasn't about proving anyone wrong or defending Michelle Obama's legacy. It was about something much bigger, self-respect. And honestly, that's been the Obama girls' approach to public life all along. Their rare public appearances, that was no accident. Michelle Obama herself explained it to Jenna Bush Hager in an interview. She wanted her daughters to have the space to grow up like normal kids, to make mistakes, to figure things out without the entire world watching their every move. And that makes so much sense, right? Barack Obama, for his part, has always been vocal about how proud he is of his daughters. He's watched them navigate this insane level of public scrutiny with grace and composure, and he's never hesitated to give them credit for it. They are sweet, kind, funny, smart, respectful people, and they treat everybody with respect, he said. And that's not just the father's bias. Anyone who's ever seen Sasha and Malia in public can see that for themselves. And maybe that's why Sasha never felt the need to respond to Joan Rivers or any other critic, because at the end of the day, she knew who she was. Her family knew who she was, and that was enough. But then things started to shift. As the years passed and the Obamas settled into life after the White House, Sasha slowly started stepping into the public eye more. Not in a flashy attention-seeking way, but in a way that felt intentional, thoughtful. She wasn't just the Obama daughter anymore, she was becoming her own person. And when she did choose to speak, she made it count. Her sister Malia summed it up best in the Netflix documentary when she reflected on their mother's time as First Lady. What this has showed in a way is just, damn, those 8 years weren't for nothing, you know? That was the energy Sasha was bringing too. It wasn't about responding to every little rumor or controversy. It was about proving through actions that her family's legacy was real, that it mattered. And isn't that like the best clapback of all? Instead of getting into a war of words with people who are just looking for attention, they simply live their lives, they achieve, they make a difference, and in doing so, they prove every baseless claim wrong without even having to say a word. Impact on the Obama family. The way the Obama family handled Joan Rivers' controversial statements was nothing short of remarkable. You know how some people love to clap back at every little thing? Well, that was never their style. Instead, they took a completely different approach, one that was all about grace, dignity, and most importantly, family. They didn't waste time on public feuds or dramatic responses. They showed exactly why they were one of the most respected first families in history. And honestly, their approach was a masterclass in rising above negativity. But how did they do it? How do you respond to someone who constantly pokes fun at you but without making it a thing? Well, the Obamas had a formula, and it was all about staying true to who they were. Let's start with President Obama's handwritten note to Melissa Rivers after her mother passed away. Think about that for a second. Joan Rivers had been known for taking jabs at both Barack and Michelle Obama over the years, sometimes crossing the line from comedy into controversy. A lot of people in his position would have just stayed silent, maybe even thought, oh, well, she never had anything nice to say about us anyway. But that's not how Barack Obama operated. Instead, he took the high road like always. He reached out with a personal note, letting Melissa know that despite everything, her mother had left an undeniable impact impact on comedy and culture. He even wrote, "Not only did she make us laugh, she made us think." That's the thing about the Obamas. They understood that even when people weren't kind to them, it didn't mean they had to respond in the same way. And Michelle? Oh, she had her own way of dealing with things. There were so many ridiculous rumors about her over the years, some so absurd that you'd think people would just laugh them off. But nope, some folks believed every word. And Michelle, instead of getting caught up in the nonsense, always kept it simple. She once said, "People will believe anything if it fits their narrative, no matter how absurd it is." And honestly, isn't that the truth? That's why she didn't waste time trying to argue with people who were committed to misunderstanding her. She knew who she was and she knew her family. That was enough. But let's not forget, one of the most important things about the Obamas is their unity. This wasn't a family that just stuck together for the cameras. No, they were the real deal. They had each other's backs no matter what, whether it was public scrutiny, internet rumors, or controversial jokes. They faced it all as a team. And they didn't just say they were about unity, they showed it in everything they did. Their routine never changed just because people had opinions. They still went to events together, still showed up as a united front, still focused on what actually mattered. That's a rare thing, especially in politics where so many people let public perception dictate their every move. But the Obamas, they weren't built that way. Even during some of the most ridiculous conspiracy theories that spread about them, they refused to be derailed. And let's be real, there were so many of them. But instead of wasting time trying to fight every false claim, they stayed focused on their mission. They knew their truth, and they knew that history would eventually tell the real story. And that's exactly how they approached the Joan Rivers situation. They didn't give it more energy than it deserved. They didn't engage in some back and forth. They let their actions do all the talking. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do well to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. To enjoy more thrilling stories, click now on the following video that pops up on your screen.